Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cambridge Insider Podcast. We're so excited to have you here today, whether you're a returning listener or this is your first time with us. We talk all things international education here. Every Monday, we have an episode come out, and typically I have my amazing co host, Stephen, with me. But this week, we actually have a guest with us, and his name is also Stephen. I will let him introduce himself.
Hi, it's great to be back. My name is Stephen Glaspie, and I'm a regional manager of operations at Cambridge Network based out of Chicago, Illinois.
Thank you so much for being here today, Stephen. We could talk about so much with you because you do such a broad variety of jobs here at Cambridge Network and you wear so many hats. But today we are going to focus on our great student programs that we have to offer our Cambridge Network students. We're always kind of evolving these programs, but this year we're especially excited because we have brand new programs to offer. And we have spoken about these programs in some past episodes, but we really wanted to take a deep dive today into the Student Council. And Stephen is here to share a little bit more with us about the Student Council. Um, and we're really excited for our students to have this opportunity. So, Stephen, I will let you dive in here to explain to our listeners what is the Student Council?
So we kind of started out with this idea of what were some other clubs and opportunities we could create for our students in a virtual setting. And one thing that instantly came to mind for me personally was the student council, because this is something I was heavily involved in when I was in high school. I felt like it really added a lot to my high school experience, and it really helped add a lot of value to my college applications, as well as really honing in and enhancing my leadership skills. So I really wanted to find a way to bring that to our students, because a lot of our international students, they're not going to be familiar with the student council or what that entails, and may not necessarily want to jump in or feel comfortable jumping in their own high school. So the idea was, what if we created this international community for our students online, where they're working together and building their own leadership skills within the Cambridge network, and trying to create events and service projects and other leadership opportunities for themselves, using the technology that we have today.
That's awesome. And I know so often we as student development managers, we're working with students directly on the ground and we're helping them throughout this whole process. And so often we just see this need for them to really get involved more so than just academically. And they really need to broaden their skill set. They need to sharpen these leadership skills and group work, all of these skills that will lend to their success in college that you don't necessarily learn from just your core academic classes. And I imagine COVID had a huge impact on Cambridge Network's need to create virtual support services for our students. So I think it's so awesome that this is a fully virtual program.
Exactly. And that's where it really kind of started. When COVID, took flight overseas and then here in the US, we really wanted to not shy away from it, but try to make something better from the experience. And out of that came our virtual events, which we held monthly, sometimes even more often than that. And then that led us down this path of, well, okay, the virtual events were a big success in bringing our students together and giving some online community and support. So what else can we do, and what else is missing? And we constantly see that, our international students as a whole struggle a lot more to feel comfortable, like I was saying earlier, getting involved. So this would really give them another opportunity to get involved and build something more out of their high school experience, and hopefully build their leadership up so that they're more comfortable taking it back to their own high schools, and maybe starting their own clubs, or maybe getting involved in their own high school student council as well. So we're
Definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off
you're
there,
fine.
but I kind of just see this, the student council and a lot of our virtual support services for students and areas that they can jump into to develop more with our virtual services. It's sort of like a bridge because for a lot of our students, when they come over, it's such an overwhelming experience. They're going through so many changes and having to adjust to so many different aspects of the culture. And one of those things is the difference in classroom culture and expectations. So for a lot of our students, I think it's enough already on their plate just to get used to the expectation that I'm going to have to raise my hand in class. I'm going to have to speak out. I'm going to have to share my opinions and ask questions. And they're already pushing themselves so far out of their comfort zone just to be using their voice more so in classrooms than they probably were in their home countries. Because I know, in the US education system, we are encouraging critical thinking. We're encouraging students to be independent and unique and have their own thoughts. And we see diversity as such a good thing, and healthy conflict in classrooms where kids are debating and students are just having independent thought on different subject matters. We are pushing them to a whole new area that they're not used to in their home countries. So the student council, I think, is a great way for students to have this ability to dive into a leadership opportunity, but it's not necessarily in their school where they're already having this overwhelming amount of pressure to adjust and use their voice in the classrooms.
Exactly. And what I think's great about it is, my goal is to take what I understand about the student council in a US high school and really adapt that to meet the needs of an international student community so that we're really giving it some flexibility over time for it to really be something that our students can be proud of, that's something they're creating. They're going to have us as advisors, but they're going to be leading the meetings and coming up with the initiatives and the goals and the projects that we hope to create throughout the year and really shape it into something that meets their needs and help strengthen their international student community. And I'm really excited to see what can happen when we bring all of our international students together across the U.S.
I love that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that you're basically saying that the student council and our programs in general can kind of morph to fit the needs of whatever needs our students do have, and that we're able to have that flexibility and creativity to shape shift it and see where it goes and see what our students like, dislike, what we need more of, what we need less of. And I couldn't agree more with just forming that community online for international students to continue to connect with each other, whether they're in New Jersey or California, and have that camaraderie with other international students, to have this virtual platform where they can come every month and talk to other students going through the same things that they are and talking about what more supports they might need. It's awesome. I mean, I don't know any other company that is creating programs like these.
yeah, and I think that's what's really magical about what we do at Cambridge Network is, we're for the most part a group of people who really value international education. We've lived abroad. We understand the struggles we had. We understand, therefore, the struggles our students are having. I know myself, I lived, overseas in Asia for over 5 years. And during that time, it really helped me understand better what challenges students would have if they came here and how we can address those. And I think too, another point with COVID, especially, over the past year and a half, it's really shook up the market and the amount of students that can come over because of concerns with safety and health. And and maybe 5 years ago there might have been a lot of schools with a large international community where they really could kind of form their own thing, but now we're seeing smaller communities, or maybe in some communities only one or two students, and that might be a lot harder for them to really express themselves and really let their voices be heard. And so I think by creating this, we're bringing all of them together and really trying to create something magical and impactful for them, something they can hopefully by the end of the year be very proud of the work that they did.
Absolutely. I think it's a true balancing act with having, like you said, because of COVID, because of travel restrictions and all of these new barriers that have popped up over the last year or so, it's really a balancing act of, okay, now we have these smaller programs where maybe there's only one or two students in a school, and it's wonderful for them to have to push themselves and get involved in the communities at school. But to that point, it can be really overwhelming and quite lonely at times. And as you said, we know that we have been in the positions of our students through our own international education experiences. We know what it's like to just need an ear or a shoulder to lean on and talk to, and just know what it's like, what you're going through, and that camaraderie and community that we're going to form for our international students through our Cambridge Network programs is so important. I think we as humans we're just able to do more when we have a support system like that. And it keeps us going. It keeps us moving forward. It keeps us getting through the tough times when we know we have that family and friend group behind us. And that's what we're hoping to build through the student council, through the student leadership cohort that we've talked about on other podcast episodes. We're hoping to build that safety net for students to say, okay, I feel comfortable taking this step out of my comfort zone because I know if it goes wrong, I have this group of people behind me who have probably been through the same thing before.
Exactly. And that's what's been so wonderful with these online programs. I as well teach for our Cambridge Up online classes, and I've built my own community with those students, and those students will still reach out to me, from across the US, questions or needing some extra support or feedback. And it's really good that by us creating these virtual programs for the students, we're really, like you said, creating that extra bit of network and support, because you can never have enough people on your side.
Absolutely. And I think for school officials who may be listening, you might be saying to yourself, wow, these sound like programs my students would be interested in, but maybe they're not aware of them. And for students who have a student development manager through Cambridge Network, that should be your first person to turn to learn more about these programs. They will be advertising them to your students, but feel free to please step in and encourage them to get involved. Especially, we see it all the time. There are students with so much potential, but maybe they're just not ready to get involved in your programming that you offer at your own school. So this could be, like I said, a bridge, kind of a stepping stone to those more in-depth involvement activities in your own school community. So this is a great place for students to start, build their confidence, get an idea of what it is like to be involved in programs like these, and then get involved on the ground in your school community. If you don't have a student development manager working with you, feel free to reach out to any of your Cambridge Network representatives, and they will be able to point you to the person who can give you more information. And yeah, these programs are completely free to our students, and they're here for our students to take advantage of. So please reach out with any questions. Stephen, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
No, I'm just overall just thanks for having me here, and I'm super excited to see what magic we can create with these new programs. And then also, the sky's the limit. We're constantly thinking outside the box and trying to really be creative and come up with ideas that will benefit our students. And I think what really helps is we start with the student, listening to what the student needs and what the student wants, and then trying to figure out how we can make that happen. So I really appreciate the time and appreciate everyone listening, and look forward to sharing more, hopefully at the end of the year, sharing an update on what all we were able to do this year in the student council.
Absolutely. I think we'll definitely have to have you back on to hear how everything went. How many students right now are enrolled for the student council? Because I know that we opened up enrollment a week ago, and I think it closed this week.
Right. Right now, we already have over 40 students who signed up, which is incredible.
Awesome.
I mean, based off what I kind of thought in my head, I was shooting for 25 as kind of my goal. And the fact that we already have over 40 students, and likely we're going to be doing some bring a friend to the council events during the year to try to build up more student participation. I really think we can really build this to over 50 students in the next few months. So it's really exciting.
That's so incredible, and you should be so proud of yourself for creating a program that is attracting so many students to it. It just shows that the need is there. And I think the more students we have involved and who are trying this out, we're going to be able to get feedback and really tailor the program to what it could turn into in the next year or years to come. So I'm so excited to see where it goes. We'll definitely have to have you back on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for being here with us today. We would love to interact with you. If you have any questions or feedback for us, thoughts, feel free to shoot us a message on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast episode. Again, thank you so much, and we will see you next Monday. Bye, everyone.